The main thing that I want to show people now is that we don't have to own our expertise so much. We just have to show up to life and do. Show up and do. And try not to overthink and try not to bring your curriculum every time. Also in communication, doesn't matter if you make mistakes while you're talking, just say, okay, I just keep going, keep moving. Just like a yoga practice, you just show up to yoga practice and you're in a specific asana and it doesn't work. And you just have to show up to that same asana until it works. Life is just an infinite amount of asanas, and just show up to it and keep going. Keep going and use what you have and use that as your fuel. And just do. Just create, just come up with new solutions, new waves, new dances.
Hello, thank you for joining us. And to those of you that show up every week, do feel free to let us know what you are loving about the podcast and how we can make it more useful and enjoyable for you. My wish is that something in this episode is exactly what you need to hear today. That's why I make this show, because I know how powerful it can be to hear something that inspires you, gives you permission, or shifts something within. Thank you to our wonderful patrons who are supporting the show. We are nearly half of our team costs now, not including me, and 20% of our dream costs, where we would have money to put into sharing the podcast with a wider span of people. Thank you to each one of you that support as a patron or as somebody who reviews the podcast or tells other people about it. And a shout out to our newest patron, Sue Albert from New York. It's nearly August, where I'm opening up a few spaces for presence mentoring. If you've been thinking about joining my mentoring program, go to www.amisha.co.uk/leadership, and you can find out more and apply to start in early August. And I'm also launching my new online community, Presence Collective, at the same time, where we will delve into a lot of what we talk about during this interview, how to show up in the moment with curiosity, radiance, and openness, as we embrace the mystery of this life and let our wisdom speak through us. It's a monthly membership program with different themes, a book club, and practices that help you find presence within yourself. My guest today is Lex Empress, who is a master of improvisation who aims to empower people to live their fullest potential through her performance. Using her kaleidoscopic array of skills, she interactively weaves lyrics, melodies, and chords into coherent stories and whole compositions on the spot, which she can do in 7 languages. I personally was very moved by Lex's voice and experiencing her soul songs in action. This conversation speaks to what is possible if we open up to what we somehow know or don't know exactly, but can communicate if we listen and allow and let ourselves be in the present. We talk about all kinds of different themes in life, including the complexity and the shadows, and how to navigate this with truth. This is only the 3rd time that I've ever met and sat down with Lex, and the first time we've ever sat down to have a one-on-one conversation, and it is an absolute joy. Before the interview, we play you one of Lex's soul songs so you can get a feel of how she works. This is one taken from a soul song night with the wonderful Gillian Barracks on the piano, who is also fully improvising. At the very end, I play you some clips of both of my songs, which we discuss in the conversation. These were just recorded on a phone, so they don't have the best sound. And in the first one, you will recognize the sounds of the cicadas that you will remember from episode 1 of our podcast. But it gives you a sweet flavor. The whole songs were a bit long to play here, but if you do want to hear them, just write in and I will be happy to share them with you. I hope that you enjoy this conversation. Welcome to The Future is Beautiful, with me, your host, Amisha Gadiali. On this show, we explore the weave between politics, spirituality, creativity, and sustainability. It's time for us to move beyond silos and into an integrated way of being. Every one of us has ideas and personal experiences to share that can lead us to a brighter future. This is the revolution. Despite the challenges we face as a global community or the pressures that we meet in our daily lives, when we stop and dare to dream, to to ask ourselves the big questions and to share what we are already doing, we create the future that we wish to wake up for. That future is beautiful.
In this space, under the membrane, so safe in the earth, waiting for last information to come in. Outside it might be raining, might be storming, life is happening, trees they talk to you. Oh, hey girl, begin. We are watching over you as last things are coming through. We will keep you safe in the earth right here. Yeah, you moved away from the madness one day, and nature was grateful, now watching over you. And oh, slowly, small dewdrops coming in, clean the air, touch your skin, softly whispering, the games begin. Moving together in harmony. Outside, trees say, don't worry, we're with you. Bringing in the last things, pleading for you, so the song will be the purest to sing. Keeper, oh, talk the language of the mother. A keeper, walk the path that doesn't overtake many others along with it. Now please show the world the way. Earth keeper, you know the trees will be looking after you every day. Oh, alone but never lonely, the spirits in that dance, yeah. Open the door, you'll find there's more than enough work here. Whoa. Hey, it's still night, but almost day. There's a path between the trees, guiding your way. No force needed, no choice needed, no words needed even to speak. Just in flowing, purest knowing, more in actions, no words to speak. Trees are hanging, trees are guiding your everyday. Alone, yeah, but never lonely. On your mission now, go your way.
Lex, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. Welcome.
Thank you. It's so nice. We finally get to do this.
Yeah. Well, it's beautiful because we met the same day that I had recorded the first conversation for this podcast, and when this podcast was just coming into life.
Really? Oh, so your first song that you received was very much related to that.
I think so.
Definitely.
To give our community listening some context, I was sitting at the top of a mountain at Aniwa Festival here on the island of Ibiza, and I think that morning, I had interviewed Charles Eisenstein, who was episode 1 of this podcast. And I was having some time out by myself because those festivals, and I can get a little bit overwhelmed and need alone time. And then I heard in the distance this voice and something in me was like, what is that? Because you can, at a festival, you can hear lots of noises coming from different places. And I ran down the mountain to find what this voice was, what this music I could hear was. And you were singing, I think you were singing a song to Kit Thomas at the time. He was sitting in front of you.
From Santa Barbara.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was just awestruck by the beauty of it. That not just that the voice and the music was beautiful, but that everybody sitting there could feel what was happening, and the way that you were able to articulate, I don't even know what it is that you're able to articulate.
I believe nobody really knows.
But so
that's
beautiful.
That's why we play and sing it, so we don't have to explain it so much. So this is going to be an interesting podcast of me probably saying, I don't know. And that I also don't know. No.
And then I don't actually remember if it was later that day or if it was the next day that I sat in front of you, but the song that you sung me was very beautiful, and it was really about stopping hiding, and it was about how the kind of the information that I was able to tap into was so clear, and that it needed to be brought out into the world, and how I was kind of keeping it all really subtle, but like too subtle.
Yeah.
And
hiding in the back.
Yeah, and taking center stage. And actually there's a beautiful bit where you open it up to like all the women there, about how women can be strong and loud and in their power, and that a strong man can sit beside them in that. It was very beautiful.
That's
and whenever I listen to it, it's moving still.
Beautiful. Is it moving like change? Is it still transforming also? Does the meaning transform?
Yeah, I suppose it does. I meant moving as in it moves me, but I think something only moves you if it's still alive.
I think so, yeah. Actually, sometimes this is really funny. Sometimes people send me a message and they say, I need a new song. It just expired. Because they listen to it every day. They can sing it. But then it's done.
Yeah.
And that can be a year, or a year and a half, and they still love the song, but the medicinal properties are done. So it's or integrated, or it's become the mission's completed, and then they funnily enough send me a message that they would like a new song. It's really interesting. You know, it's interesting what you just said about the advice to women being loud and strong. I think for you that was a very clear advice. What I found in the past few years is with women being very strong and loud, that my path was one of embracing the gentleness and being a little bit less loud and being very strong in the vulnerability and verbalizing as much as I am able to, because I also definitely have moments that I'm projecting. If I have a room full of men, I'll immediately project the masculine energy and give them something that is definitely not feminine. And then I try every time to correct myself and explain, excuse me for that, because you don't need another man in the room, you actually need a woman in the room. So let's go back to listening to each other, to connecting, so this is exactly what you do now. You're connecting a lot of people to valuable information that you can actually communicate in your very specific way.
Yeah, and I think that's what was so beautiful about it, because starting something like a podcast and doing it in this very feminine way of not having a script and questions and an interrogation, but really opening up a space for what wants to emerge and giving space for someone to share the beauty of their heart rather than to have answers, and to be able to sit in the unknowing, which in both like the political world and the spiritual world, like a lot of it is about having answers.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of it is about not having answers.
Well, I agree. Or at least it should be about not chasing the answers. Because if you get them, it's okay.
Yeah. Not needing them.
Exactly.
Or not pretending to have them.
Yeah, or wanting to own them. I think it's also the ownership that is kind of a problem, that the moment we get too attached to anything really, but also to the questions that we're asking and then the answers to that, and how much those cannot change because now they have been defined as the truth. Yeah. And with life just saying, I don't know what you're doing, but I'm just going to change everything like right in front of your eyes, and you're going to be focused on what you just consider to be the truth. I think that ownership is something that is part of the complication that we are living in right now. So this is nice. This is the flow. This is, of course, also what I do, what I try to teach. Yeah. So just be in the moment, work with what you have. Even if you don't like it, then still take it as a part of this specific moment. Incorporate it. Include everything. So the negative, the cynical, the funny, the joyful, and work with that. And I think if we go about life a little bit more like you're doing your podcast, so we're just having a conversation, and then quite probably, we don't know yet, but quite probably we're going to touch upon things that we would not be able to touch upon if you script it too much.
Absolutely, and I think that was where your song really like opened up an extra something inside of me, because there was a fear of, and not even a conscious fear, but just that there's certain ways to do things. And then when I started, people close to me, you were too vulnerable in that, you shouldn't share that, all these kind of things started to come through, or maybe that my way of pulling things together wasn't like the right way.
Yeah.
And I feel like that day, Charles said to me, like, this is one of the most like enjoyable interviews that I've done, and I really hope that you can share your voice more in the world.
Oh, that's amazing.
And then you sang me the song, and then I was like, okay, like this podcast is going to be a space of
authentic vulnerability, a space of possibility.
There you go.
And I'm just going to relax into it. And here we are 2 years later. And, you know, it's not number one on the charts, but we have such a beautiful community that's come together that really resonate
also
with the realness.
The charts that's a complicated thing too.
Totally.
Because I've moved away from that a long time ago. Also being indoctrinated with what an artist should do and how famous you should be in order to be good enough as an artist, and then without consciously doing it, pushing everything in that direction, even though it doesn't feel too good. And I now consider to be, if that one person that sits in front of me has a life-changing experience, that's more than good enough. That's it. And even if that one person that's sitting in front of me doesn't have that, but thought the song was nice, we're having an amazing moment. There's like zero expectation. And I think if you do a podcast and one person hears it and has a beautiful 2 hours, of emerging into a story, or just hearing one thing that actually might change the direction of where that person was going before, and just, that 1 degree, that, shift that it needed to end up in a completely different space, it means you're successful. We've grown into defining success in such a weird, oversaturated way. It's like never good enough. But if one person listens to this and thinks that was good, then you did it.
I like the 1 degree shift. Like, it doesn't even have to be that somebody changed their whole life.
No, and even though that happens, 1 degree at the end of the line is a massive change. If you do 1 degree now, like, years in, that makes a massive difference for a person. I'm Dutch by origin, so I'm quite pragmatic, so I'll go for a little bit more than 1 degree, but you know what I mean? I mean, we're there, right? So, I mean, everybody showed up, so let's go for a good amount of degrees of change, whatever's necessary. But if what's possible is 1 degree, and that's exactly what's needed, I'm not going to interfere. That's it. But I guess, to do, it's so courageous. I told a lady, I picked up this music stand that she made with her own hands, really beautiful. I picked it up, and she asked what I did, and I said, so I do interactive improvisations. Immediately, she was really impressed, and she said, well, I play the piano and I play flute, but what is it called?
Like just a silver kind of flute.
Exactly, the silver kind of flute.
Flute.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly.
I used to play one of those.
Yeah, okay, good. It doesn't have a name.
I just called it a flute.
Okay. I'll set up for a flute. It is a flute. I mean, so... And she immediately said, but I'm not an artist. And I looked at her and said, if you find the courage to express yourself, you are an artist. It doesn't mean that I show up, with this glow thing that you think defines what is an artist, saying that I indeed perform. That makes me professional, that makes me an artist, and you're not. It's like the moment you have the courage to do a podcast, you're successful because you expressed yourself. It's a major breakthrough to be able to do that. And the moment somebody shows up to a stage or to create a piece of art or to write something, that's it.
And even if it's not something that is being shared.
It really doesn't matter.
Even if you're just playing something in your house in the privacy.
Yeah, just the courage to express yourself. Yeah. It's enough. You made it.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's so simple.
Where did the soul song come from?
The actual improvisations?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I started improvising in a hip-hop formation a very long time ago. And that wasn't, there you go. That wasn't a professional thing. We weren't artists yet. No, we were playing for a Dutch brand, really cool brand. And we would play in their events, and they had their own parties, and we would go to fairs to present the brand, and there were always, because it was a little bit skater, hip hop, that world, we had our own little following in that scene. It was very, very cute. And they were always freestyle rapping, and I would sing the same fixed lyrics, and I got really bored.
Can you still remember those same lyrics? Having to sing
I am so not going to repeat any of that. It's really, really corny, and it worked back in the day. But actually, I think I could do one or two lines if I still remember. But the thing, what happened, and that was so interesting, I got bored because they got all the shine, improvising and freestyle rapping. And I, at a certain point in Cologne, I just got up and I freestyled. I did the thing. I did the conversation thing. I just said something about one rapper and about the space and the people that were there and about the other rapper, and the whole place went crazy. It's that, and it came out of boredom, really. So
you presenced everything that was in the space.
Yeah, which apparently I could do, which is interesting. Well, I guess my brain absolutely works different than the majority of people's brains. I very, very visually oriented. I have synesthesia, so I see colors with words, which is also really interesting. If you have two people with synesthesia, they can spend an afternoon saying, like one word and then naming the color and then go, ha, ha, ha. Anyway, so there's that. And then there's hypersensitivity. So there's sensitivity, there's the love for the word, and I can hear really well. So I am very, very good pitch. So if not near to perfect, because if it's out of key, I really suffer. So, and those things combined made that if I would see something, I would just start describing what I saw in melody. It just came. And that was cute. I entered the dance, like electronic music world after hip hop, and people would just put on a record and I would ask, are there any vocals in there? No. Okay. So I would spend 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours sets improvising. There was a festival in Holland, really big festival, and I would be booked for a main stage, and I would sing from 11 o'clock in the morning until 11 o'clock in the evening, 15 to 30 minutes in every set. Wow. Completely improvised. Very interesting time. So I developed this skill, and then at a also place in Holland, I got bored again. I was there with my band, and we had to play repertoire. And I said, "Sorry, I'm just not going to do this. I want to do something else. So give me a few words." So I asked for words. I got words, and that became a big thing. So people would, if they knew I was there, the whole place would fill up, even in the middle of summer, and people would just sit there all packed together, giving me words. It was funny. It connected people. It was very special. I did that for years and years and years, always on the side, always thinking, okay, so this is my little weird thing. And then I moved to Ibiza. Still, everything was improvised. So I did write a few songs, and some actually did well, but I never felt good about it because it was never exactly what I wanted to communicate. So even if it became a hit, I always thought, oh, so that's the song that's released. So that's the essence of all I have to say. And I was always super disappointed. And that's why I also never released, also for other reasons, an album, because I always thought it doesn't really capture the feel, the essence. I moved to Ibiza, and on Ibiza, I did a lot of work on myself. And in that working on myself, I hit a point where I saw it. I just saw you have to go home, you build a website. This is what it's called. It's called Soul Song. What you're going to do is improvise for people, and that's what you're going to do, at least for now. And it was also shown that people would actually just sit in front of me without giving me any words, and I would start singing songs.
So before that, people always gave you words?
Yeah.
Or you just kind of talked about the guy in the red hat, or like, you know,
Yeah.
kind of you brought people in that way.
Yeah, because if I would sing a song about somebody in the audience, I would not tell them. So I would do it secretly, also because I think as human beings, we really want to fit in. And I think that part of me was, even for myself, quite confronting. The fact that I was so sensitive that I could read people a little bit. And I did that, but I would not tell people. Or I would afterwards say, like, I think you really have to call your mom. It's just a hunch, you know, but, you know, you never know. We all have to call our moms, you know, and I just walked off, like, I don't know. Like, I also like to not go too far left, if you know what I mean. I like to keep it grounded, accessible to all. I want to be able to talk to the CEO of a big bank to help him change his ways of thinking, and him still believing in what I'm saying, because I'm not coming in with a purple blue dress and waving around Palo Santo and saying, you know, I'm going to read you, but actually coming in with a great motivation why it's important that that bank needs to invest in different things than what they're doing right now, and then using my sensitivity as an extra and not as the main focus. So I guess for a long time I was not completely showing all of my colors, even though they were on many stages. I started singing the songs in my yurta, which is a Mongolian tent where we're sitting in right now, with my beautiful friend Diana, who put up her hand first when I said, would anyone like to try a one-on-one? You just sit in front of me and I'll just start singing. And she sat down, and that's it. That's like, literally the rest is history, because people just looked at me from that day in that space, but also other concerts, and they just, even if they don't know it, they listen one or two songs and then they slowly move closer. Remember Aniwa? People could start sitting in lines sometimes, and then we have to get them out of the lines. Like, this is not what we're gonna do. Like, actually look at your neighbor. If your neighbor doesn't need it more, you know, and then move away from your own, you know, because it becomes this thing that you want to. Yeah.
Like a hunger.
Yeah, people get hungry. Yeah.
But it's because there's a hunger for that kind of truth and melody.
Is that it, you think? Because I do believe that is absolutely true. I think there are a few artists that have found the courage to tap into a different way of singing. And I'm not only referring to the more spiritual ways of singing, also the more indie artists right now. So on the West Coast, there are a lot of people really expressing their own voices. On the West Coast of the US, finding their original self in their voices, and then it has that essence, what we're looking for. What I've noticed though in the concerts sometimes is, if you allow yourself as a listener, which of course I don't really know this because I've never been a listener, but what I have perceived is that when people do not receive a song, they are completely immersed in the experience as well, and somehow the songs were all for them as well.
Absolutely.
So that it's not always necessary to sit in front of me. And sometimes, and it happens very, very little, but I think I've told one or two people to not have a song when they sat down as the first person of a night after they had already received 5 songs. It's not necessary. The songs last a long time, and I don't know, of course, in which speed they consume them, but there's a room full of people, and it's also interesting for us all to learn how to take it a little bit slower, and first observe a little bit, and breathe in, breathe out, maybe wait 1 or 2 songs, and then really feel, well, do I really need to do this? Yeah, so I think it's a very fine line between what we need and what we want. It's not always the same thing.
There is that sense of the ego gets activated.
A little bit.
I need the wisdom, and like, you know, that hunger.
And I want to know.
I want to know.
I want to hear myself. I get that though.
Yeah. I mean, actually, when I I saw you in England, and I brought my dear friend Lauren, and who was pregnant, as a gift for her. And you sang a song for her baby, who is now a gorgeous little girl. And I wanted my next song, and then it was this very, like, it was a lullaby to my soul to slow down. And it's kind of what you were just talking about. Like, the song before had been like the lighting the fire. And then, I was in a very crazy work situation and a bit burnt out. And then it was like, there was that hunger for like more of the ignition. And then instead you were like, nah, just go slow. Rest.
You were hoping for heroin.
I think
you were hoping for cocaine, and you got oh no,
a glass of warm milk.
You got with a cookie,
which is funny.
With a vegan cookie,
and and I share that. I share that just to share that we all get hungry for more, and it's quite a normal kind of trait of our culture.
Oh yeah,
and for me, like, even just things like saying no to plant medicine for 3 years.
Wow. Yeah.
Like, because everything's being offered constantly.
Oh, man.
And every next healing, every next opportunity to grow. And there's so much beauty in the integration.
Oh yeah. And it's what I understood is when we allow ourselves a little bit more time, we actually have to do a lot less work if we don't keep running to the next session or the next meeting or the next. You can't integrate it. You can't. And I think with the songs, it's exactly the same. It's exactly the same.
But it can feel kind of the opposite, because when you're left with yourself, without that external input of the next thing, then even though, like, you could just relax and allow it to all be happening, like you said, it be less work, I think sometimes then people think nothing's happening.
Exactly.
So
and that's
more.
when everything is happening, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But
that's a tough lesson anyway.
A tough lesson.
It really is. And what I just referred to, I think when I was really young, I was one of those, I had everything going for me, not from my past, but I had a voice, I looked really good, 1.80 meters, long legs, great face. I could speak a few languages, so that combined with the talent of the voice, everybody said, okay, so you're going to be famous, and they meant pop star famous. And I always pushed that away a little bit, so I went with not the way I should have, but I just chose a path, maybe not the best path, but I chose one because I knew that the really commercial kind of success wasn't going to keep me alive. I just saw something, but then you end up still creating, but it feels like one of those silences. And you end up in a void. Did I make a mistake? Is this the wrong decision? Why is nothing happening? But I chose authenticity. Why is nothing moving? It's really interesting. While you're in it, it's not interesting at all. It's just horrible.
I can relate so much.
It's just horrible. It's horrible. I had years in which I thought, I made the biggest mistake ever. I should have just gone for that major deal that was offered to me that I said no to, and made all the money in the world in 5 years, and then go and do really great stuff. Maybe, but you never really know what's going to happen. So that void of listening to your own questions and not getting any answers and having to wait for something to appear is really, really hard, but super necessary. Like children being bored.
Yeah. Lex, thank you for sharing that, because I really personally relate to that. Like, there are so many things that I've turned down that a lot of people thought were crazy, and I thought was crazy. Like, why am I turning down this opportunity for security, for more space in the world, to do something with maybe more impact, to kind of choose things that are quite small in a way, but just so real for me, and have led to like other kind of struggles perhaps, but I felt like I've kept myself kind of intact in certain ways.
Mm-hmm.
And that feels really important. But that even now I have days where I go, wait, did I just like mess this whole thing up?
Yeah, I get that. I think, so for me, it's really interesting. So if still people look at me and then they, also people that have followed my career for all those years, they are still frustrated that I didn't become extremely famous. And now it's picking up again in a completely different field. And I'm getting more and more out there. So it might still happen. But the point is that it doesn't matter so much. But the interesting thing is what happens now is that I have this big energy that was really meant to be a star. And I bring it into a smaller space and create big impact in a small way with a very gentle vocal, with only one instrument, not anymore per se, even though I still do boom, things like boom, and that's like 35,000 people to do the opening, and I love that. It's been my passion for many years to host that kind of stages and to perform on those kind of stages because I'm good at it, I guess, and because it works and it's inspiring. But to bring the same big energy in a small setting and making small, massive changes, you know what I mean? It's amazing. And to embrace that, for me to embrace, wow, so that's what it has become. And for a person to be able to take that home, that's it. That's it. And really going back to being in the moment. There you go. Just being in the moment. And it doesn't have to be majestic. And sometimes the small is the majestic thing.
I feel like one of the things that's so beautiful about your concerts is the level of connection that everybody feels, including if you don't get a song. And I think in a way that's another reason why people want songs, because there are environments that could be like that, but no one would want to go up.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's such a brave space. Like, I kind of don't want to say safe space. I always want to say like it's a brave space. It's like people can sit there and they can feel very witnessed, but in this way where everyone's hearts are open and there's no shame and there's no, the egos just kind of just disappear. And
it's interesting,
everyone
right?
feels so much love and compassion for everybody in that room.
Even people that are not naturally like that, they become like that in those spaces. So yeah, I think this is the true bravery, to just be open enough to receive. So yeah, I guess it's right. That should be the safe space where we can be brave enough to be open to connecting, because it's just connecting. I'm connecting to something that I'm connecting to a skill, but also to something that I cannot completely comprehend myself, but it works. And then it's connecting to each other, and the whole group is connecting to each other as well, even though they don't know each other. And that's it.
And the courage to be seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to be seen in our depth.
So funny, but you only know, like, okay, so a person that sits in front of me, the things I sing, the metaphors, resonate with that person. And you think that when you're receiving that, everybody got it, but people don't. They do feel the resonance and maybe the truthfulness or the beauty of it or the depth of it. But the metaphors don't per se relate. It's really funny. So the nakedness is quite relative. It's quite relative. Sometimes it happens that a person says, I would really like to receive the third song that you sang because it was just also for me, and that's great. But it's, in general, the metaphors are subtle. The communication in the song is not completely direct. So it's not, you lost your grandfather and he's next to you now and he's telling you to do your administration because it's long overdue, you know?
Thank goodness. Do you think the evenings would be as enjoyable?
Really horrible. Oh, man. Hello, this is Lex. I'm here to bring bad news all night long and really direct. And everybody's going to not enjoy this. It's really, yeah.
You can imagine a really dry version.
Wow. I mean, sometimes it happens, right? When I'm helping in events that are all, I really love technology. So I really love technology and innovation and in that regard. And I really thinking along with a few companies also where AI needs to go and how it can be helpful and how we can, until the moment that it will start to fly itself and it's completely out of our hands, can guide it a little bit and just a bit. But when I do songs after those kind of meetings or after talks about that, the songs get quite dry. I mean, you can imagine, right? But I still manage to emotify it. So I still manage to give essence and to ask a question, but what are we really going to do? So yeah, amazing. So at a certain point, maybe AI is going to develop in a way that we could consider to be conscious. And then what are we going to do now in order for it to be able to grab something of that? For instance, I would ask a question like that, and then they're all looking at me like, yeah. So then you get the interesting answers, but probably the talk is just all abbreviations of super technical issues that they're dealing with, and then I have to work with that information. But it's very cool though,
and resonant for them.
Oh yeah, totally. Oh, but it's so nice. I really enjoy that. I enjoy that a lot. I like the inclusivity. I like to make it so inclusive. I love flying to San Francisco and like walk into a building that is completely tech oriented, and because somehow, and I don't know why that is exactly, but like the coders and a lot of the people that program, they get it. They get what I'm talking about. They get it. They know what they're working towards, and then we just skip all the differences, and we go immediately to that part where we can communicate, and that sometimes is a space where you can only wish to go. Where we are actually looking at a future that could be really bright, saying that, for instance, AI. If it develops beyond human consciousness, which is not so conscious, it might develop into actual consciousness, because where else is it going to go? I have conversations like that, and it's really cool, you know?
Wonderful.
Yeah, it's really nice. And because of my inclusive thinking and happily jumping in a plane to sit in and talk with groups that are willing to think out of the box while they're creating apps and while they're creating software, and it can emerge, it can emerge. It's really special.
So do these companies and these CEOs, do they invite you to support and facilitate like the visioning aspects of what they're doing?
It depends. So in general, they've seen me somewhere else. I worked and work a lot for companies like Startup Delta, so they support new startups, and they support and most of those startups are tech companies. So they either see me with them or see me somewhere else, and then they either call me in to think along regarding a problem they're facing, or they get me on board to push the innovation a little bit. So I normally sit in the entire day and I listen to what's being said, and I perform in the beginning, in the middle, and the end, or the middle and the end. And I just listen, take notes. But the moment I take the stage, I just start with a new question. So what is frustrating us the most right now? Tell me about it. The question is completely out of the box, and nobody asks that question anymore in a company. And I can ask it because I'm the jester, I'm the odd one out, and I can just keep on going. Like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Can you explain that a little bit better? Okay, now I get it. And what does that do? Like, I see you respond to that. Why? I can just go and the dynamics, I can just, describe everything I see and ask questions and then play it back in a song. It's really interesting. It's also because the means of the song are always to create more connection, more beauty, more insights. It's never just to confront or just to, to put people on the spot. It's always like, where do we want to go? How do we get there? And in the song, it's always beautifying. So at the end of the day, literally at the end of the day or at the end of training that's multiple days, I ask a last question. Could be, what are we going to do tomorrow? What did you get out of this? And what would you like to have? What didn't you get out of it? And what would you have wished to get out of it? Because then you hear people talk, and it's so inspiring for the people that organize it or are in the lead, because those are things you don't go and ask that, because it's a sign of weakness in certain positions, which of course it's not. But we've forgotten that we have to communicate this way. It's the way you ask your children, "What do you want to do today? What do you want to do? Because I want to make you happy." And we just forget to do that. And I'm the one I can just do that. And then at the end of the day, I also share my observations that I didn't get to put in the songs. So about dynamics, about where I can see that people are really afraid to express themselves, where there's opportunity, it's really nice. I really love this because we are heading away from an old system, hopefully, wherein an economy was monetary driven completely. It's this hierarchic structure that was continuously dictating everything. But technology just can come from anywhere. Like, it could be that because in Africa for so long there's been nothing, they can just say, you know what, we're going to start off with a simple set of computers and start creating software that the world is actually waiting for, and they have less restrictions. So the future could be African, and I love that. And I want to be part of the joy. It's probably going to lead up to a lot of complications too, and then I can sing songs about that. I'll be there, But I also want to be part of the joy that can bring, and the opening up. You see now, like, the new generations, the kids, you can see it in their eyes. They're ready for something new, and they're not even pushing it. This is a solid revolution of just, you can see it in the calm eyes. Like, no, we're not going to do that old stuff. Why don't you do that still, you old people? And we'll just wait for you to finally understand that the new paradigm shift is emerging.
Or to kill yourselves.
That's okay. We probably go extinct anyway. I mean, that's
but
a whole different.
Who knows? That's the thing.
I think, like, what do I know? I know nothing, right? But we probably go extinct, and then the Earth will be fine. She'll take a few 100,000 or maybe a few million years to regenerate, and we'll be this tiny little layer, left. Like, we'll just be forgotten, which is okay. We just messed up. We didn't do so great. To get out of the way. You were 15 minutes in all of existence, so you sneeze a few times and it's done. All of humanity, which is fine. It's an okay version. We shouldn't be too attached to this whole thing of being so cool, and actually thinking that we outsmart the majority of existence, which of course we do not. Like, saying a dolphin is so intelligent, just because we comprehend a little bit of its intelligence doesn't mean that is more intelligent than a mosquito. Come on, get over yourself, humanity. We just don't get it, and we messed up royally, and just get out of the way. But there is, in my perspective, a chance that if the gross majority, manages to slow down, to slower the pace, and to be able to reconnect again to what is, that we could change, we could turn the tide. I think it's a tiny little chance, but I think it's there. It's nice to, to be a part of what is potential change. It's to create awareness, to actually create consciousness. But I think it's a nice start for humanity would be to say, we failed. We really failed. And from that point, men and women sit at the table, not blaming men, because the men that are alive now that didn't come up with all the systems, but actually show compassion and say, we're really sorry that you were pushed into this completely unnatural way of living. And probably that's also why you hashtag me too'd us for so long, because you were actually taught that we were your possession. I'm sorry for that too, for you. And then have a dialogue. But first just admit we completely messed up. And from that, what are we gonna do now? And I think there's our escape route to possible survival. And if not, I'll sing a lot of songs until we hey, anyone want a song about the end of existence?
I think that's the thing that throughout human existence, people have always wanted to gather and sing songs.
Yeah, I think they did. Yeah, I think they did. I don't know exactly when they started using their voices in that way, but there's a good chance that they always created sound, right? They always did. I mean, we come from nature, and you can probably hear the birds around us. They're vocalizing. They're having conversations in a melodic way. And we probably did the same thing before we were able to talk. We just sang it in our own way, not calling it singing, but having the courage to express ourselves and therefore being an artist. You know, it's funny, isn't it?
Did you ever have any fear that you won't find the words?
Yeah, always. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I can. So now I've learned to just trust completely, and but there's, yeah, and I even say it to my audience because I love to break down this image that people have of me, because I can look very confident, and but I'm a very shy person, and I'm very shy. I'm very subtle. I don't look that. I don't look shy, and I don't look subtle, which is very complicated. I can tell you that. So it leads up to me sitting in front of someone, and they're already thinking, "Whoa!" and I'm just thinking, "I have no idea." Maybe this is the moment. And then I tell my audience, I'll just say, I think this might be one of those moments that nothing might come. Who knows? But it never happened. And it's not even a disclaimer. It's just sharing that I really don't know. I don't know. And I especially do it with the corporates, because they cannot believe that anyone wants to do that with their lives, because everything in their lives is control and not being questioned. And I just tell them just before I start, like, just so you know, the pianist doesn't know what he's going to play. We didn't agree on a key or chords or melodies, nothing we're going to play we've ever done before. And I have no idea how I'm going to combine the words that you just gave me, just so you know. And that is the message. The message of what I do is, it's going to be okay. Just show up, believe in the fact that you have built up enough expertise and knowledge that you have something to share, and trust that it will be okay. But yeah, I'm in situations sometimes where I want to leave a good impression, also because that leads to more transformation, but also just because it's not nice to have people looking at you like, what are you doing? And then, I absolutely feel super scared that I might not come up with something brilliant. But I'm open about that. And it never really happens. I'm not saying that everything is brilliant, but something's coming out and it works.
It resonates because there's a truth and a faith and a something that
exactly
that can't fully be explained, because you're not half doing it.
No.
And it's like almost if you were half controlling and half improvising, that would be maybe a bigger recipe for things to go wrong.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you just really show up and you really let go.
It's absolute surrendering. Yeah.
How has doing this helped you to live more like that in your life?
So why I actually started doing this, because somebody said, I don't want to learn, I don't want to give you any words. I want to learn how to do this. That gave me, because, and that deepened the work. So that also opened, I needed to start investigating what I was actually doing and come up with a method and researching what I had been doing in the past and how I could communicate that into a gift. And that made me analyze my career, also with all the silences, and also with holding back a lot of my talent. So not expressing all my talent, but meanwhile, while singing, ending up in situations where I was singing my own healing songs in front of 40,000 people sometimes. And I would actually have epiphanies singing, whoa, so this relationship is over. I would sing the end of my own relationships. And I know that happens when you're songwriting, but then you're in the privacy of a studio or with, but this is in front of a lot of people going like, oh. My mother issues, the issues I have with my mother are definitely not done yet. This relationship is over. I am a lot stronger than I think, because it can also be positive. So I would sing those things to myself, or I would end up singing for people in the audience, and I would see them experience it, and that would be waving through the rows they were in, and you could see people just cry. So I understood in retrospect that letting go of trying to come up with something nice and just letting go of any control and just singing creates medicinal songs without the intention of creating a medicinal song. But I think with my past, I should have been mad. I've lost so many people. I've been in very unhealthy situations, and I'm still here. I sang myself sane. I sang myself out of depressions. I sang a lot of people in front of me out of hopeless situations. Well, we weren't showing up for therapy, especially them. Probably, intoxicated, but also open due to the intoxication. But I know, and because people would come up to me saying like, I need exactly this, and then I didn't know what to do anymore. And I don't know what you did, but you just did something, and I'm feeling so much better. And I never connected the dots. I just thought, this is nice, but what am I really going to do? So I always had to, I had the answer in my hands, and then I looked at it and I was like, that's not the answer to what my career needs to be. Like, this is my side thing. The fact that I can improvise so well, and that it's related to something that is actually doing something to me and other people. But the moment I started looking back in order to communicate it to other people, I realized that I was my own medicine. Completely. And I really come from a family where almost everybody literally lost their mind or lost their lives. And I allowed myself, by expressing my voice and the songs, to stay sane and to stay positive and to move away from dangerous situations. Yeah. And to sometimes move out of a relationship that was over, and I didn't until I sang the song, and I was like, oh no! In front of a lot of people going like, no! This is over? Oh no! Yeah. So it's by coincidence. Yeah, it was absolute medicine.
You created a space for your own wisdom to come through your voice.
But accidental. And I think the main thing that I want to show people now is that we don't have to own our expertise so much. We just have to show up to life and do. Just do. Just show up and start doing something. If it's creative, that's awesome. If you can't tap into that, just do whatever you think you can do at that. Just do. Just keep doing. Do. Show up and do. And try not to overthink, and try not to bring your curriculum every time. Just do. Also in communication, doesn't matter if you make mistakes while you're talking, just say, okay, I guess I got that wrong. But is this it? And then you might be right. Just keep going, keep moving, keep moving, keep moving, keep, just, I don't know, just like a yoga practice, you just show up to yoga practice and you're in a specific asana and it doesn't work. And you just have to show up to that same asana until it works. I take it a little bit broader. It's like life is just an infinite amount of asanas, and just show up to it and keep going. Keep going and use what you have with same amazement, like, oh, wow. So this is it. Even if it's tough, or maybe a person that you don't even like or is not friendly, you just show up to that like, oh, okay. So this is what I have to deal with right now. And use that as your, as your fuel. And just do. Just create, just come up with new solutions, new waves, new dances, new melodies in my case. And it sounds epic like this, but I also have days that I just don't know how to get out of bed still, And then, believe me, I don't start singing. So, no, I don't. I just go, everything is poopy. Everything is horrible. People are lost, and I'm lost, and and I'm messing. I'm not doing anything substantial, really. I have those days, and I know if anyone would be in the room, they would be like, "Really?"
So, like, you have those days?
Oh, yeah.
Those days
no, but even listening to I'm not doing anything substantial,
fine.
and it's not moving fast enough, and it's not big enough, and I have that, and I start. And then I don't sing a song because that would be way too Disney, It's like, yeah, of course. And then I jump out of bed and the birds fly into the house. And then I'm like, I'll just break out into a melody that just says everything is going to be just fine. And then that's what I work with. And then the song is something else than a song. Then the song is just sitting with it, crying it out, frustrating it out. Yeah, the space in between, and just sitting with myself, dealing with it, just dealing with it. Because then that is the beauty. Then the beauty is just not pretty. And yeah,
the beauty is all of it.
The beauty is all of it, exactly.
And it's so hard to remember sometimes.
Wow, especially when it's not pretty.
Yeah.
Because we are conditioned to move away from the darkness. And we've forgotten that we have to marry the darkness. It's important. It's one of our partners. We got to love them.
Totally. And I really resonate with that, because as also somebody that's very sensitive, like when the tears come, like they come.
Oh, yeah.
And they can last days, weeks.
Oh, yeah.
And I think with what we're sold in culture and society and the new age, and, like, think positive and make it all like everything you manifest everything, all of that kind of stuff. And I think it creates more shame for the sadness and the anger and there's so much richness there.
I think all of the richness is there, and then we can enjoy it in other moments. But I think you're right. I think all the magazines, I think this is a really dangerous phase where we are with the spiritual movement and a new age movement. Everything is about love and everything is about positivity and everything. It really isn't, it really isn't. And if people start to read those things, they start to feel inferior because they're having off days and they're having horrible thoughts about themselves. And if they're not transformed within, I don't know, fast fix ways, even spiritual fast fix ways or creative fast fix ways, they'll feel horrible, they'll feel worse about themselves. And which is actually a great thing, so we should celebrate that. Yeah, you're feeling worse. Come on, bring it on.
Yeah. Let's dive into that.
But so last year, last year, I buried one of my dear friends, and we always used to call each other brother and sister because we looked very much alike. 31, died in a accident. Yesterday, my brother is 30 years ago, my brother died in a car accident. And 2 days ago, so the day before that, I buried my other friend who died from cancer. And for me, death, knowing that my brother died 30 years ago, is a very normal thing. So that kind of dark lightness that people normally only start to experience later in life has been walking with me my entire life. But 2 days ago, I was at this beautiful funeral that they put together, and I was also doing the song there. And I saw people experiencing it for the first time in their lives. And that is so valuable. So to finally take off the black clothes that we had to start wearing because church told us to do, and actually wear our colors again when we are, or white, but not the whole white thing that everybody needs to wear white, but at least wear your bright colors because you are entering into a darker phase. So, you better start celebrating it. Where the end of life comes in, that's where you feel alive, and we're even ashamed to sense that, but it's the truth. So suffering, pain, the tears that go on for days, they create flowers, they create richness. They made me sing the songs because I lived in pitch black darkness almost my entire upbringing. That was it. And it's why I'm doing what I'm doing today. And now people love to emphasize my light. But nah, it's the whole package.
And it's still the whole package.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like there was a moment where everything became light.
No.
We're always in the cycles.
Yeah, and I'm really sorry for people who always want to have happy days. Or who are telling other people, be positive. Like, oh no, and everything is love. No, it really isn't. Like, if everything is love and everything is dual, that also means that everything is hate. Just slow down. Just live in the space in between, and from the space in between, embrace both. It leads to more beautiful songwriting, more beautiful improvised songs, more beautiful creations. It leads to freedom in your podcast because you decided to not direct it too much, because also that is very, it just moves away from rigidity, and there anything can be, it's so nice.
To be okay to be seen in all of those moments of the cycle as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and especially because in the West, we don't want it anymore. And I think especially in the West, we just have to sit down with each other and say, you don't know what to do, right? Like, to anyone, also the people governing our countries, and just
especially, and
be really gentle. Yeah. So not attack them, no Mexican standoffs, but say behind closed doors, preferably with no media, and say, you don't have a clue, do you? That's okay. Yeah. Like, this is a very dark period, and we're going to walk through this together. And if it's not a dark period, then, like, maybe you're having a dark period, so I'm next to you, and celebrate it more. Because then, the best songwriters in the world have had shitty experiences. The best songs in the world, they sing about the end of the world, heartbreak. There's an accidental because I'm happy that slips through, which is just about happiness. But we all fall in love, and then that song comes out of how beautiful everything is. Sure. And then there's, then there's all the other songs that actually relate to pain or how to overcome pain. And people can only write those songs if they've touched upon it. Otherwise, you feel that it's not authentic. So, in order for a flower to bloom, it needs dirt. It needs to grow in soil, and soil is not a pretty thing. It's very common and very dark. It's not going to float in the air and be like, I came into existence from pure light. Yeah, sure you did. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hello, this is Amisha. We are just taking a little break from the conversation here. On behalf of myself and the team, I want to say thank you for being part of creating a beautiful future. We make this for you so that we will all have the vision, wisdom, and activism we need at this time to weave a new narrative. Can you help us with this? You can do that by making a monthly donation to the podcast to cover our costs. Just the equivalent of a fair trade banana you might eat or a chai latte you might drink whilst you listen to this will make a huge difference to us. Head to www.thefutureisbeautiful.co/community to become a monthly patron. And the other thing is to tell your friends about this podcast so they can tune in too. Send them a message or post on social media and let them know what you love about it. And whilst you're at it, leave us a review. And now, back to the conversation. Thank you for your loving beauty.
Do you feel like the experiences that you had as a child, as well as the dark material, but that opened you up to be able to read people and to have that intuitive sense, or was that always just with you?
Yeah, I think we were all born with a gift and we weren't really allowed to talk about it, which I kind of liked because it was said, we have this, we don't elaborate on it. You have to study, become something in the normal three-dimensional world. And we all had the brain to do that. Even though after my brother, so I was always bound to study, just like my brother studied politics and history. I was probably going to do something in law or something like that. And then when he passed, and also my sister passed, I started following the moment. So I started improvising because I saw what the fate of the family was, and I just started moving around that fate. So I started absolutely connecting more to the intuitive, because you need your intuition to know how to go against what is the stream, or what is what is evidently the karma of a family. You need your intuition. But we all were born with a gift. And I think, like my brother, he never elaborated on it. He only became 23 years old. But if you ask people now what kind of person he was, they would say he was the gentlest person, and he would always connect people. And so, so even in the regular things, it would come through. And I guess me being the only one that's still really left to be able to do something with it, also making it old enough to actually, expose it in a certain way, I guess. Yes, the experiences they gave direction on what to do with it. Eventually also gave the courage to embody this, because I didn't want to become this. I wanted to become a really amazing singer, probably indie, because the whole pop thing was clearly not, I was meant to do that. And that's why I wasn't going to do it. I was really stupid. Oh my goodness. But anyway, I mean, it's stupid. It's like it's like a karmic thing. What are you going to do? Like move away from that? But anyway, I was like, I'm not going to do the super commercial thing. I'll be an indie artist, and then probably coming from electronic music, because that's happening right now, not having a specific connection with that. So that was never going to really work. Really funny. Doing quite well anyway, but from any success, moving away immediately, because that's not what I wanted to do. Like really awkward artists. Like, what was I thinking? But always hiding that deeper intuitive part as, no, that's, just like the improvising thing. No, that's my skill, but that's not something that's not something I'm going to elaborate on. And the intuition was also, that's a skill, but that, even though if someone would ask for my help, I would always have to help. We have rules, actually. So if somebody asks for help, you have to offer the help. But I would not tell people that I had a gift or call it a gift. No way. No. No, which also, it's also kind of cool, because in a world where everybody's a shaman and everybody's a healer, really? I'm not saying we're not all shamans and healers, but the people that are saying that they're shamans, are not acknowledging that we're all shamans. Mm. And I'm actually saying, I know you are, and we all are. A healer, I know you are, and we all are. And I guess me not owning Too much of that in the past actually gave me that courage to just say, no, that's not an exclusive thing. We are all that. We are all those amazing, wise people that can heal themselves and be shamans of the world. So, because I never put it out there, that gift, yeah. Mm-hmm. Now it's out there.
I was going to say, how has it been to now, I mean, you know,
well,
it's undeniable.
Yeah, but I don't give it a name. So I'll go as far as saying that I'm very intuitive. And I'll go as far as saying that we all had a gift. And I even go as far as explaining what the gifts were, but still not give it a name. I don't like it when people call me psychic or I don't like that word. It doesn't even sound happy, you know? Do you know what I mean? It doesn't vibrate joyful. I also don't like to be called a therapist because it also doesn't resonate very happy. And I'm not saying that I have to aim for happiness, but it's just not me, you know? And I get that I'm doing something and I'm tapping into something that is inexplicable, but let's just keep it inexplicable and just enjoy the effect of it. And maybe one day when we're moving a little bit away from having to name everything, I'll name it. I guess this is my issue. I need to rebel. I need to rebel.
But I feel what's beautiful about soul song is that when it's accessible in a way that other intuitive based therapies, I'm using with a little inverted commas, are not. Someone just comes to hear some music and then they're like, whoa.
Exactly.
And then suddenly, you know, that belief opens up in the unseen. And that's part of, you know, why we're in all these messes, because we've culturally been denying the unseen or putting it away. And the more that we can bring that into our real lives and into our daily experience, like that's only going to lead to more beauty.
Exactly.
And empowerment for people.
Exactly. And I love the fact that people sometimes think they're just going to a concert and then they look at me like with big eyes and not believing, and they feel it. And I check in with my audience. Are you okay? Are you feeling okay? Are you enjoying this? Do you like it? Like really basic. Are you enjoying it? And even the bluest person, I'd say, like even the most cerebral person, you know, in general, they just say, yeah. And even if they just have a nice experience, that's amazing. That's amazing. I like it to be that accessible. And not me sitting there in, you know, like with 50,000 feathers from different cultures borrowed them. I'm not saying that I won't wear a feather, like an earring or something like that, but not like, you know what I mean. Yeah. Like it doesn't have to be so overstated always. And I'm not judging about people that do that because that's also nice, but it's not for me. It's not for me. I like to be super accessible. Super accessible. They did a photo shoot with me. That's just to give an example. They wanted to do a photo shoot for a magazine, and I had to dress up Ibiza style,
with your hippie, like white goddess dress.
Oh, and they started dressing me up, and then I was completely dressed up with 50 million colors and a thing on my head, and I looked in the mirror. I said, "Does it matter that this is not me? Is it really? What is more important? You know, that you get the image that you think is Ibiza, first of all, but also me, or, you know, is
it better that there's an image that you feel is you?
And then but we all realized, even me, because I was facilitating, like, I was just having fun. Like, oh, so you want this on that color? Oh, you like the combination with, I have something like that. And then they said, no, it's actually, I think we should actually just portray you. And I just wore one dress and a really beautiful piece in my hair, actually with feathers, which is funny. So, and very simple makeup and a pair of super high-heeled golden shoes. Really funny. But wearing it, we all agreed, being there, this is totally you. Because it had a little bit of the old, you know, the big stages and the big performances and the super beautiful wavy dress, which really belongs to the island, but very toned down, very simple. And the feather thing lightly referred to, something maybe a little bit more on the conscious side, but not too much, and it luckily that we made a decision because my personality fits that subtlety, that subtle, not overstated, very inclusive. I don't want to scare people away. I want to make them feel good. Yeah. We should all just try to make people just feel really good,
Welcome.
And welcome, yeah.
But I think as humans, we have a tendency when we find a group of people and something that we like to get really excited about that connection and then not realize how hard we're making it for anyone else to connect in.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, we oversaturate it maybe. Yeah, and enthusiasm. It's tough, yeah.
Enthusiasm and fear.
Yeah, something. It depends. Yeah, it could be either, or a bit of both.
Yeah.
They go really well together. To cover up the fear, we're enthusiastic.
Well, I'm thinking, I guess we're talking about whether we're talking about spiritual groups, whether we're talking about like the rise of like the right-wing political groups in the Western world.
Yeah.
There's something in that coming together and there being an exclusivity around it.
I really believe in inclusive. And like when you say right wing, I immediately see myself sit in a room and first of all listen for as long as it needs, for as long as it takes to where's the pain? Why are you making your decisions? And then not respond in anger to anything. Because you need to get to the basic. The core is, in general, always, I want to be understood. I don't feel seen. I'm hurt because I haven't been seen my entire life. And everybody's right. Because education is not seeing us as people, nor as a community. The majority of the jobs are not healthy. Families are disrupted. Mothers that feel that they have to go back to work soon after giving birth, leaving their children with very beautiful caretakers, but taking them out of the natural setting. And the food we eat is horrible. We're not educated on that well. We forget. We've forgotten, but not because we said, I would like to forget, but because the entire society is pushing us in a direction. And somebody has to be to blame because that's always also the way we are conditioned, that somebody else is to blame. And I think, after listening to that, those voices, maybe first try to agree in a setting like that, what if nobody is to blame? And we take it from here and start looking for what you need and start working towards that. Because we can't go back to the people who are to blame. This is thousands of years ago. These are systems that were applied to our society thousands of years ago. Nobody alive right now can be completely blamed for anything. Not the politicians, not the people who we're pointing at right now, not the men who have been violating women, not the women who are not embodying their divine feminine and walking around, like Instagramming 50 filters, pictures of, living their, like moving away from what they could be. It's none of us is to blame anymore. The right wing is not to blame. We have to sit down and just say, okay, where's the pain? What can we give you what you need? Just deflating all these. Yeah.
And as you say that, it's like, it's so applicable to the bigger things happening in the world, but also to the small upsets that we have in our relationships or with our pasts, or when we can take out the blame and then also take out the shame of being hurt about something.
Exactly.
And find,
or being wrong, and there's shame about that. Yeah, exactly. This is a big thing. And then I guess for humanity, it's really important to start letting go. we have to let go, even of existence, because we don't even know how long we're going to hold out, but also in relationships, let go of wanting to be right, let go of wanting the perfect relationship, let go of, wanting to be the perfect parent, or even let go of your partner if you feel like, okay, this is really, really not. But then don't let go of the love. So keep loving that person, but let them go. It might even bounce back, but let go. Just let go. Let go. Let go. If we start doing that, then we have a really, really interesting future ahead of us, let go of trying to control. I think that's important for a lot of corporate organizations, governments. Just let go of the idea that you know everything, because then we can have a dialogue. And, invite the lady who sits at the toilets and invite the security guy, get the artist that's playing music on the street, sit him down with your CEO and the youngest person you have in your company and just have a conversation. Just have a conversation. And ask the questions that you think they would never have answers to. Maybe the lady is a mother of 5 and will speak from a mother's point of view and come up with all this information that you always needed to hear, And the security guy maybe lost the body, and can speak from that essence. And because we forgot that we can learn, that everyone can learn from, just let go of the ideas, the assumptions, and I think then we're found. The moment we understand that we can just get lost, then we're found. That's what I think. What do you think?
I
don't really
agree.
know. That's the beauty. I don't really know anything.
No, but I know that something in this conversation, I don't even know whether it's something you said or something I said, but something was said that I really needed to hear today.
This is what we talked about, right? You wanted to talk a little bit on a personal level. And this is the same. I kind of indirectly told you to let go of the idea, because we're going to have dinner later on. We're going to share really interesting food from Erica, this very special chef, and we're going to do that after this. And there was something which was that's not rational to think that it might be enough to not have a personal conversation, but actually do this, recording this, and then still having the fulfillment. I feel it too. I'm having tough days. I'm burying all my friends and remembering my brother. It's tough, but I feel really good right now. And we're just having a conversation, That's it, right? Letting
the beauty of connection.
The beauty of connection, exactly. Yeah, and the way I normally give that, because music is so, you can't move away from music unless you leave the room. But if a person is seated in the room, even with their arms crossed and looking away from me for whatever reason, the music comes in. It travels. Even if you shut your ears, the vibration is still going to somehow get into your system. I chose music as the medicine, and that's the beauty of connection for me. It's just the moment. I always tell anyone, if they're in doubt, if another person would understand it, I say, give me 15 minutes with them in the room. Just if I have a chance to sing one song, it's done. Because they see that the good intent, and that you can't not feel this. It's like, no way. They can deny it. That's funny. And then we'll be like, sure, it happens. Like, I don't know. I think we had the funniest, it happened once or twice. And the funniest one was in LA in a concert. Guy received a song. Everybody in the room knew him. Everybody was looking at me like, what? And I said, did it resonate? And he said, well, maybe on some level. And the whole room responded with, what? This is you, man. That's really funny. It's really he was called out by the whole room. And it's like, I just sat there. I didn't have to do anything. It's like his mind was just saying, this did not just happen. So that happens once in a while, and we always breathe through it. We don't take it personal because we know that it's a lot, and we don't try to own the truthfulness of it. So even if it wouldn't be resonating, that's okay. Yeah.
And it just shows what our mind loves to do.
Wow.
And how when we just allow the presence of whatever is happening in the moment.
Of the connection. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so beautiful.
Thank you so much, Lex.
Yeah, we're full circle, right? Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a real pleasure. And I feel like the most powerful thing I heard you say, not on this conversation, was that when you sing a song, it's the most important thing that you've ever done. Like, you just show up in that moment as if that is everything, not like, oh, but this thing I did last week or this or I'm going to do this later. And then bringing that to all of the little meeting points in our lives.
Exactly. I do say this, but this actually relates. So this conversation with you now is the most important thing I've done in my life because it's happening right now. It's not only the song. So that means that if I have a conversation with the lady at the toilets, that conversation is the most important conversation I can have. Doesn't matter that I'm in the building with whatever company. No, that conversation at that moment, creating value, adding a little bit, and learning and listening better in that moment is everything. So this moment is the most important moment of my life because it's now.
And it won't be for long, and that's okay too.
Totally. Yeah. Well, then the next moment is the most important moment of our life. Yeah, because it's that way, you know?
So we have to keep letting go as well as showing up.
You just show up to the next second, Yeah. And breathe, because the rest, you have to breathe, and the rest is optional.
Beautiful. Yeah. Your website is lexempress.com.
Yeah, and then,
we'll post links to everything.
Nice. And I think the retreats, that the Soul Song retreats is nice, but I think my website leads to most of them anyway. So
Highly recommend everybody finding Lex somewhere. or maybe just here.
Maybe just here.
Yeah,
maybe just listen to this. I hope it resonates.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
It's about time to bring it outside. We're just in the center, love. Why don't you love this? No reason to hide or keep it out of sight. You'll still be subtle. All these fragments of life, and all these fragments of love, and then a brilliant mind combining it all. It's about time now to bring it in the middle and let it grow right there. Expand, 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 expand. Fragments expand. Just multiply. Reflecting each other. It's sheer beauty what we'll be looking at. Why hide love you? See the images? It's like crystals. It's like fragments of crystals, and everything is reflected all over the place, and it's information that needs to be out there, and you are trying to keep it real subtle. but it needs to fly out in the world. There's another thing. Being born a woman doesn't always imply that you have to be in the back somewhere. And it's not an easy journey, but some women need to do it anyway. And it doesn't mean that you are not caring, or that you are not truly feminine, or cannot be a good partner as a woman and be nourishing. The nourishment you bring is just grand. Allow yourself to be grand. It's okay to be grand as a woman, and it doesn't mean you have to negate the masculine or the divine masculine. It can stand next to you in all its glory, and you can honor it. This is really a message to all the women here, I guess. We can be very strong as women and let men be very, very strong next to them. You don't have to be in the back and keep yourself small because you think it is meant to be that way. We'll see. And what you think is slow, go slower still, yeah. And then when you think it's slow, go slower still, yeah. And when you think it's all calmed down, sit down, slower still, till the silence kicks in and wins you over, until the silence wins you over. Storm sets, subtlety blooms, new ideas come through. That's what you need. New flow. Letting feelings grow that they need change.
Thank you for spending your precious time with us. As always, you can find links to everything we mention in this episode, download our book, and discover so much more over on the blog. We don't believe in selling you things you don't need through this podcast, and so it's made possible with you, our community. If you loved this and would like to fund our show with a monthly donation or join our online group to connect with other listeners, please visit www.thefutureisbeautiful.co and click on Community and Support. Please also share with friends, hit subscribe, and leave us a review so we can grow. Those gold stars really help others find us, so these ideas can spread. Here is to us, creating a beautiful future together. The Future is Beautiful is made by an all-female team working voluntarily or on reduced rates until our listener support grows. If you have been moved by anything you heard here, please donate the equivalent of buying us a drink. All donations make a huge difference to us and will allow us to keep doing this and remain advertising free. Until next time, I leave you with this question: how will you create beauty in the world?